You've been told to let go of what you want most, and something in you resists that advice because it feels like giving up dressed in spiritual clothing. That resistance carries more wisdom than you realize. By the end of this, you'll understand that the deepest form of detachment has nothing to do with releasing your desire, and everything to do with how you hold it. Most spiritual seekers hit a wall with detachment. They hear the teaching and try to stop wanting. They practice affirmations about being complete. They meditate on surrender. And underneath all of it, a quiet desperation hums, because they're performing indifference while their heart still aches for the thing. That gap between the performance and the feeling is where most people get stuck for years. The reason they get stuck is a fundamental misreading of what detachment actually asks of you. Neville Goddard spoke about this with striking clarity. He taught that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, live from the end, inhabit the state of having. But he paired that instruction with something people skip over: the Sabbath, the rest, the release of effort after the inner work is done. Most students here feel it real and grip their visualization like a life raft. They repeat their mental scene 40 times a day, checking for signs, measuring progress, wondering why it hasn't shown up yet. That gripping energy is the opposite of what Goddard described. The Sabbath means you've planted the seed and you trust the soil to do its work. You walk away from the garden. But walking away from the garden while believing nothing will grow, that's abandonment. Walking away while knowing the harvest is certain, that's detachment. Feel the difference in your body right now. One carries the weight of resignation, the other carries the lightness of someone who placed an order and knows delivery is handled. Same external behavior, radically different internal posture. Your nervous system knows which one you're actually living in, even when your words say otherwise. So why does the confusion persist? Because most teachings present detachment as the absence of desire, when the real teaching points to the absence of desperation. Desire itself is creative. It's the impulse of consciousness moving toward expansion. The Kybalion describes this as the principle of gender, the masculine and feminine aspects of creation working together. The desire is the masculine impulse, the seed. The trust is the feminine principle, the womb that receives and gestates without interference. You need both. Kill the desire, and you've removed the seed entirely. Kill the trust, and you dig up the seed every morning to check if it's growing. The real discipline lives in holding both simultaneously. Full desire, complete trust. Your wanting stays alive and vivid, but it operates from abundance rather than lack. You want it because it's yours, because you've already claimed it in consciousness, because the inner reality is settled even while the outer world catches up. This is where most people need a concrete practice, because the concept sounds beautiful, but the execution demands something specific from your mind. Try this. When you notice yourself wanting something and feeling the clutch of need around it, pause. Ask yourself one question. If I knew with absolute certainty this was coming to me, how would I feel right now? Then feel that, the relief, the calm, the quiet excitement of anticipation without anxiety. That feeling is detachment. You didn't stop wanting. You stopped doubting. The doubt is what people are actually trying to detach from. The wanting was never the problem. Consider how this plays out in relationships. Someone desires a specific person or a deep partnership. Traditional detachment advice says, stop thinking about them. Focus on yourself, release attachment to the outcome. And the person tries. They journal about self-love. They repeat that they're whole without a partner, but every night before sleep, the longing returns, and they feel like they've failed the spiritual test. They haven't failed anything. The longing is the creative force doing its work. The failure would be letting that longing curdle into desperation, into the belief that they're incomplete without the other person. There's a razor-thin line between, I desire this deeply, and I need this to be okay. One is generative, the other is consuming. And the difference lives entirely in your relationship with your own completeness. Here's where it gets demanding. Maintaining that inner completeness while actively desiring something requires you to hold a paradox without resolving it. Your logical mind wants to collapse it into one or the other. Either, I want this because I lack it, or I'm complete so I don't really need it. Both collapse the creative tension that manifestation actually requires. The mature spiritual practitioner holds both ends of the wire and lets the current flow between them. Think of it like breathing. You inhale, That's desire, the active reaching toward what you want. You exhale, that's release, the trust that lets go of effort. If you only inhale, you hyperventilate, panic, grasping. If you only exhale, you deflate, apathy, spiritual bypassing disguised as enlightenment. The rhythm between the two is where life actually happens. Rumi wrote about this tension centuries ago. The longing itself is the answer to the longing. Your desire for something is evidence of its desire for you. When you understand this at the level of lived experience, rather than poetry, detachment transforms from a discipline into a natural state. You stop trying to let go because you recognize there's nothing to let go of. The outcome is already moving toward you with the same certainty that your inhale follows your exhale. But, and this is the counter-argument worth addressing honestly, sometimes what we desire doesn't arrive in the form or timeline we imagined. A genuine spiritual practitioner has to sit with that. The trust being described here isn't trust in a specific package arriving on a specific Tuesday. It's trust in the deeper intelligence that governs how consciousness manifests. Sometimes the thing you want transforms as it approaches you. Sometimes you transform as you approach it. The detachment includes releasing your grip on the exact shape of fulfillment while remaining fully committed to the essence of what you desire. That's the advanced practice. Holding the essence with conviction while releasing the form with grace. What does this look like daily? It looks like someone who writes their goals clearly, feels them completely, then goes about their day with genuine presence. They don't check for signs. They don't count days since they set their intention. They don't spiral into doubt when circumstances seem contrary. When the old world pushes back, when evidence of the opposite appears, they acknowledge it without giving it authority over their inner state. They return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled the way you return to your breath in meditation. Gently, without drama. That gentleness matters more than people realize. Detachment performed aggressively, the white-knuckled "I don't care, I'm detached, see how detached I am," is just detachment wearing a costume. Real detachment has a softness to it, a warmth. It feels like the deep calm of someone who knows the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't effort your way into trusting the sunrise. The evidence of every previous dawn lives in your bones. Your work is to build that same bone-deep knowing around your desires. Every small manifestation you've experienced, every time something showed up, after you genuinely released the tension around it, is evidence. Stack that evidence. Let it accumulate into an unshakable foundation of trust. The trust isn't blind faith. It's pattern recognition at the deepest level of your being. And here's what shifts when you truly embody this. Your desire becomes joyful rather than painful. Wanting something stops feeling like hunger and starts feeling like anticipation. The ache transforms into aliveness. You discover that desire without desperation is one of the most beautiful states a human being can inhabit. Creative, energized, open, playful. You can want something enormous and feel peaceful about it simultaneously. That combination confuses people who've never experienced it. They assume peace means you've stopped wanting. They assume wanting means you've lost peace. You hold both. That's the teaching most people miss entirely. Your completeness was never threatened by your desire. Your desire was always the expression of your completeness, reaching toward its own expansion. Stop trying to amputate the wanting. Instead, give it a home inside the version of you who already knows the ending. Let your desires live in your body the way a pregnant woman carries a child. With fullness, with patience, with the quiet certainty that what's growing inside will emerge in its own perfect time. The garden doesn't need you standing over it. The seeds remember what they're becoming.